Hi there, it's Stephen from Woolston Web Design here. I just wanted to share a presentation that I recently did for a local business network. The presentation was a checklist for your business website. Now, it's not necessarily just for business websites. It can be applied to any kind of website, but it's 10 points that I think you should consider when looking at the usability and the functionality of your website to try and get the most out of your site. So let's get started. Point number one. First of all, don't overthink the layout. Try and make it as simple as possible. Use simple layout components like headers and footers and sidebars. Now, there might be a need to use other sorts of components, but these things are the simplest and the most easiest to use and most recognizable to your users, which is what you're trying to go for. And use your branding because the whole purpose of your website is to show people who you are and to attract new business. Number two, is your content easy to understand? So content is the most important thing that search engines look for when they're indexing your site. Is it easy to read? Is it understandable? And is it current? So you want to continually grab your browser's attention, but people won't come back to your site if there's nothing new to read. And accessibility is really important as well. We need to cater for everybody, colorblind, low vision, vision impaired, so that has an impact on the colors that you use and the size of the fonts that you use as well. So let's have a look at this example. So this is a pretty simple speech bubble, nice bright color, and it's got contrasting text in large font size in it. So it makes it quite easy to read because there's a contrast in the colors and the font size is nice and big. Compare that to this, which is the same size speech bubble, but the text is smaller and the text is closer in color to that of the background, which just makes it harder to see. So bear these things in mind when you're planning your colors and your font sizes and target it to the people who you think will be coming to your website. Number three, does your site load quickly? So research your hosting provider and know about the fundamentals of your website. For example, if you're using WordPress to run your website, you'll need a hosting provider that handles PHP. Now, these things aren't necessarily things that you need to know, but you need to know what to ask of your web developer. And images can be a bottleneck too, so be really careful. An image can be a large file size, but then just resized to be small on the screen. But if the image is a large file size, it still needs to be downloaded to the browser when people view your site. So this can be a bottleneck, and it can cause your website to slow down. And background images and videos can be really effective, but they can also make your website load slowly, so use those things sparingly. Number four, is your website easy to navigate? So good navigation can make a person stay on your website, but bad navigation can turn people away. You've invested time and money and thought into your content, so you want people to keep coming back to see it. Number five, do all pages and links work? This is really important because broken links can attract penalties with search engines, and they're a huge frustration to people. There are link checker tools that will crawl across your website. They'll tell you if there's links that don't go anywhere, and conversely, those tools can tell you if you've got pages that aren't accessible via any links on your site, so you've essentially got orphan pages. And you've spent time creating that content on your website, so you want to make sure that people can find it. A sitemap is really important as well. It's essentially just machine text that's read by search engine robots when it crawls across your site, but it's important for good SEO, search engine optimization. Number six, does your site work on all devices? Now, around 56% of people will browse your website on a mobile device. So mobile browsing means using 3G or 4G. And remember the point earlier that I said about your site loading quickly. We need to consider 3G when we're thinking about this. So search engines will reward mobile-friendly websites. And mobiles are naturally smaller device, so you need to cater for those things. Larger fonts, change the layout to better fit on a small screen. So these things can all be done in code by a good developer, so make sure you speak with your developer about these things. Number 7, is it easy to contact you? A few simple things here. Consider putting your phone number on your website, add a Google map, add a contact us form page, integrate with social media. Consider who your audience is. The younger generation probably will tend to shy away from calling for inquiries, whereas older generation probably won't email inquiries because they prefer to jump on the phone and speak with somebody. A Google map on your website can be used for GPS when someone actually wants to come and see you. And social media can often be the first point of contact, so two-way integration between your website and your social media presence is really important. Having said that, number 8 is, does your site link to social media? So use the power of these big social media websites for your SEO. So social media sites like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, they've got a huge footprint on the internet. So use reciprocated links to improve your website's visibility. Ads can be really effective as well, but they can also be quite expensive. So consider carefully what you want, what your goal is, and who you're targeting. Number 9, consider writing a blog. Write about things that you know. It doesn't have to be a hard task. You want to show your expertise in your area of industry and use your expertise to attract a following. So people will keep coming back to your website if they know there will be current content. And your website blog articles can also be published to social media, so you can speak with your developer about making that happen. And be mindful of your audience. Write with them in mind. Number 10, analyze your progress. This is so important. So there's no point spending time building a website if you've got no way to evaluate its success and its failures. Google have got a great analytics tool. It's called Google Analytics, and this can show you where to tweak things to drive your business further. So an example is when I first started my website, I was just using my last name as my keyword. Woolston is my last name, and I also pretty quickly found out that Woolston is the name of a city in the UK. Now it's a city that has a very, very popular marching band, so it made it difficult for me to compete using that keyword. So I changed it. I also was using website as one word in my keyword search terms, search phrases, and I pretty quickly found out that a lot of the people who were looking for me were spelling website as two different words. So if I hadn't have been looking at my analytics, I would never have found that out. So it's really, really important to look at what's happening on your website and make some changes based on those analytics. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions at all, please come across to the website www.woolston.com.au. There's a contact us form there, so fill in whatever questions you might have, send them through, and I'm happy to get back in contact with you and talk about it in more detail. Thanks for listening.